Good Tuesday afternoon and welcome to Homework Helpers, a program where teachers are at your disposal. Don't dispose of us. And you can call in any question you like. Homework questions would be good, but whatever you want. That's why it's called Homework Helpers, you know. The number to call in right now is 508-979-1600. When you call in, you'll get Cynthia Goodfellow. I know that name. Mm-hmm. And she will ask you questions and see what you got going on, and she'll send it to us on the teleprompter.
And she'll make you comfortable.
She will, because she's a wonderful teacher.
She is.
But my name is George Goodfellow, longtime science teacher, so I can do those kind of things. Whatever you like, any level, please call us. 508-979-1600. And I'm here with Marcia Guy, who is also a really good guy.
A good fella and a good guy.
Oh.
And I'm Marcia Guy, as Mr. Goodfellow said.
Oh, Mr. Goodfellow.
Yes.
Very nice.
I'm an instructional performance specialist for the city of New Bedford, the public schools here in New Bedford. I work with the Brooks Elementary School and the Hannigan Elementary School. And I know that in 15 days, some of our students will be taking their ELA MCAS test question.
Poor things.
Yes. God bless them. Because you know what? It is a chore to take this. It's nerve-wracking. But you know what? You kids are ready for this. You're practicing, you're working your work, and don't you worry a thing about it.
And we are so happy because Emma, grade 4, has a math question.
Excellent.
Emma, thank you so much for calling in. Are you there, dear?
Yes.
How are you today?
Good.
You're in grade 4. Where do you go to school?
Winslow.
Oh, Winslow. It's our favorite school, calling in, because lots of students call us from there.
Yes, very popular.
So, Emma, it's a math question, so probably Marcia Guy will take it. But can you tell us what the question is?
Okay. I have a math challenge, and it's an open response question to practice MCAS.
Oh,
Sure.
good idea. Yeah.
It says, Emma is reading a funny book about aliens.
Wait a minute. Is it you, Emma?
Are you the one reading that funny book?
No, it's written on the paper.
Oh, just
All
to
right.
pretend, Emma.
All right, I'm sorry.
All right, honey, go ahead.
Emma is reading a funny book about aliens. In the story, aliens come to Earth to visit a school. The aliens show how they write numbers on their planet. Here's what they shared. Now, then it has 5 triangles equals 40.
Oh.
A triangle, a circle cut in about half, and almost a light bulb shape equals 13.
If you add them together?
And then it says...
Emma, did you add those 3 together, the triangle, the half circle, and the light bulb?
Yes, that would
Okay.
equal 13.
Gotcha. Yep.
And then the half circle and 3 kind of like light bulb shapes equals 7.
Oh, we can do this. This is kind of fun, isn't it?
Sure. It's kind of like a puzzle.
I'm going to write I'm on the overhead thing here. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I'm
You
going
need to move it down just a little bit,
Sorry.
George.
I'm
There you
going to
go.
write these 3 light bulb things as if they were 3 separate ones, although we could have easily said times 3, you know. And what does that equal, 7?
Yes.
All right. Oh, you sound like me, Emma. Do you have a cold?
No.
Oh, I have a little
All right.
cold.
Emma, I just wanted to make sure that we're got the same thing written on our paper that you have on yours, all right? So we want you to
Okay.
take a look. Can you see the TV where you are, sweetie?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Take a look at that, honey. Is it 5 triangles equal 40?
Yes.
And it's a triangle plus half a circle
Yep.
plus a light bulb
Yep.
Yes.
equals 13. And
Right.
half a circle and 3 light bulbs equals 7.
Yes.
And the half circle I drew, it looks like a D.
It does look like a D, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
So
And
now,
then there's a second part.
Oh,
all right.
And
Well,
it has
we
part
need
A
to
and
know.
part B to it.
this
Yep.
is part A. I'll put it down like
Is that
this.
part A?
It has another part.
Alrighty.
But we got part A here, right?
Now, Emma, did they ask a question in part A?
Yes, there's a question for part A and part B.
Alrighty. Could you read us the question for part A, sweetheart?
Part A says, figure out which number each of the alien math symbols stands for. Give numbers and explain the steps you used to figure them out.
Sure.
Yeah. This is good. This is like algebra, Emma. And you're young, but you're actually doing some algebra here.
And in some cases, we would call these secret decoder ring things that each symbol represents a number. So it'd be like kind of like a code. All right, Emma?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So how about we go to the Elmo and let George see if he can figure any one of them out. Or maybe, Emma, you could figure out what one of those symbols means.
I'll ask you a question, Emma, and I bet you can get it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
It says 5 triangles equal 40. That means something multiplied by 5 is equal to 40. So what's that something? What do you multiply?
I think that it's 8.
Yeah, because, good job. Because if you take 5 and multiply by 8, you get 40. So therefore, we already know that a triangle equals 8.
Mm-hmm.
Now come down to the second equation I've got here on the Elmo. We already know that this one here, this triangle, is 8, because we just figured it out. And now a half circle plus a light bulb equals 13. If you add 8 to this half circle and light bulb, you get 13. So what that means is the half circle plus the light bulb is equal to 5. You see that?
Right.
Well, now, is that because 8 plus 5 equals 13? So this has to equal 5.
Right.
All right.
So now we know what a half circle plus a light bulb is equal to. Now we come back down to this third one, and we know that that whole thing is equal to 7.
I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, watch. A half circle and a light bulb right here, we already know that's equal to 5, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got 2 light bulbs left over, and that's going to be equal to 7. So
Yes.
these 2 light bulbs together must be equal to 2, no?
Yes.
Because 5 plus 2 is 7.
Right.
Sure.
So now we know a light bulb is equal to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that, Emma?
Yes.
Excellent.
Real nice. Now come back to the second equation.
I know we're popping back and forth from the Elmo
we know
to the people.
we know the light bulb right here is a 1 because we just figured that out.
Ooh, and we can back into the half
So
circle.
now you say what added to 1 equals 5.
2.
Try it
2
again.
plus 1 is 5 at your house?
4.
Atta girl.
Oh, woo, good.
So now we know that the half circle is 4, the triangle is 8, and this light bulb is 1. And we got them all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Wow.
cool, huh? That's exactly the way you do algebra, Emma, later on when you get older, except instead of light bulbs and half circles, there'll be X's and Y's and letters. So you're actually doing algebra. I'm really impressed.
Sure. Now she has a part B, George.
What do you got for part B, dear?
Yes, I do.
What do you got?
It says write the alien version of the numbers 11, 23, and 37.
Oh.
Use as few alien symbols as you can for each number.
Oh, this is a tough one, but I like it.
Well, could
So-
you read that again for me, Emma?
Write the alien version of the numbers 11, 23, and 37. Use as few alien symbols as you can for each number.
Ah, all right. Wow.
Okay, so we know that the triangle is equal to 8, and the half circle is equal to 4, and this light bulb thing is equal to 1.
All righty.
Okay? Now, if you want to use as little symbols as possible, you want to start with the big ones. So you see this 11 right here? That would be a triangle, which would give you 8 of the 11,
Now, why not 2 triangles, George?
because 2 triangles would be 2 8s, and that would make 16. So that
Oh,
would
and
be
that's
too much.
too much. Okay, I see. All right.
So Emma, if I use a triangle which is equal to 8, how much do I have left?
do you mean
3.
3. Good girl.
look at
Now,
that.
notice that a half circle is 4, so we can't use that because you need only 3.
yes.
But a light bulb is 1. So if we put 3 light bulbs, we'll have 3.
Yes.
And there's the I'm so sorry I'm drawing this so badly.
You're
Okay.
fine.
I'm having trouble drawing a light bulb, is what I'm
It actually kind of looks like an ice cream cone, so I'm enjoying it.
Okay, so the first alien number 11 is a triangle and 3 light bulbs. Okay?
Hey, Emma, I'm curious if you've tried to do one of these on your own.
Yes, I've tried with my grandmother once on a
Alrighty.
different paper.
Do you think you could do the 23?
Sure.
Alrighty, give it a try, baby. We're going to go back to the Elmo, though, so you can see the guide.
Now remember, always start with the biggest ones.
Now, I think 23, of course, would start with 8, which is the biggest number.
Yep. Which it means a triangle. And could you put more triangles there?
Yes.
How many more?
1.
Yes. Boy, Emma, you are really amazing.
and-
Honestly. So look, when you put 2 triangles, that gives you 16, yes?
Yes.
Now, how much we got left from 16 to 23?
Actually, I'd just rather count it up. I mean, I don't know.
7.
Oh, 7, wow.
Emma and I have this down.
I got to tell you,
All right.
you guys are showing me the ropes.
So we got 7 left. Now all we got to do is make 7.
7.
So what do you want to make a 7?
We should use a half circle
Which is 4.
and 3 light bulbs.
Oh my goodness, girl, you are something.
The light bulb is going off in this girl's
So
brain.
here it is. My goofy light bulbs. So
Yeah.
now I'll get rid of the 7 if you're
Yes.
looking at the screen. So it's 2 triangles,
Yes.
a half circle, and 3 light bulbs.
That is beautiful work. And
But
so,
I don't think aliens should write the number 23. It takes forever.
well, I'm curious now because look, we're using the same number of symbols for 11 that we did for 20. Oh no, we did have to use more symbols
Yes,
for
you had
23.
5
I
symbols.
wonder if you have to use even more for 37. Do you
Well-
think that would be a rule?
How many
Yeah.
8s go in here, Emma? How many times can we do 8? You know those triangles? How many 8s in 37?
3?
One more, I think.
Oh.
So 4, yes?
4.
Okay.
Stop fussing on those lamps, Mr. Man.
Okay, so if we take 4 triangles, even my triangles are getting bad.
There we go.
There you go. That's 4 times 8. So how much does that add up to, Emma? 4 times 8.
Or 8 times 4, right? 4 times 8, 8 times 4, same thing. Emma, you still with us, honey?
Yes.
All right, you thinking that through? 8 times 4, sweet pea.
I think it's 36.
Ooh, you're close,
it'd
baby.
Be 32.
Oh.
You know how I do it? Because 8 plus 8 is 16. And then 16 plus 16 is 32.
That's a lot.
I know it
That's
is.
really hard. I would do it differently.
Well,
But that's who I am.
I know. So here we are, Emma. We got 4 triangles. I'll put a plus sign like this. Now, how many
So
points do we
32.
have left? 32 to 37. How much is left?
So 37 minus 32. Or 32 plus what gets me 37?
5.
5.
There you
Good
go.
girl. So we got to account for 5 more. Now, we already know that the half circle is 4, yes?
Yes.
Oh,
So
there
now
you
we
go.
only got 1 left, correct? So now we add a light bulb. And guess what? These aliens write way too much for their numbers.
They really do.
But there it is. And if you wanted to, if we could look at that Emma one more time. Just so I can show you. Emma, what you could do is write a 4 here and then put triangle next to it.
Oh, because they
And then
did that up
half
above,
circle.
sure.
And then a light bulb if you want. Either way.
Either way, it would work. And
I
remember,
love this problem.
this was a cool problem, Emma. And remember, it doesn't matter how you do it, it just matters that you do it. Alrighty? So don't worry about how you do your problem solving in your MCAS work. Just make sure you show your work. What work you do, make sure you do it.
Oh, that's a good point, Emma. If the person correcting it doesn't know what you did, they might be terribly confused. So you might want to
Well,
explain it.
it is all about the alien thing here, you know.
It is, you know.
That's a very confusing situation. Emma, you are a delight, and I thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Emma.
just made our afternoon, sweet pea.
Thank you, dear.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye,
Bye.
honey. So now, where shall we go next?
Well.
You know, we were just on the subject of aliens.
Yes.
And I really think we need to bring it back to Earth.
Ah!
And I would like to share with you, I want to remind everybody out there, this Saturday night, the middle of the night, mums and dads need to change the clocks. And here's how I remember how to do it.
And why is that?
Well, you're going to show us.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing that I say to remember. You fall back, like a good quarterback will fall back to make a good pass, but you spring ahead. Because when you spring, you want to move forward. Spring ahead, so we're going to move the clock. At 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, we're going to change it to 3 and then go back to bed. But actually, I do it before I get into bed. But remember,
because it's spring.
because it is spring.
Yeah.
It is, we're going to be very close to the very first day of spring. And that is my segue to you, Mr. George Goodfellow.
It is?
It is. Go,
Oh my
sir.
goodness! Listen, folks, we have a monumental time coming up soon, March 20th, and that's what's called the Vernal Equinox.
The vernal.
Yes, Vernal Equinox. Equinox, literally translated, means equal night.
Huh.
So on
Equinox
the
of
so on
equal
the
night.
equinox,
Yes.
there's the same amount of daylight as there is nighttime. So 12 hours apiece. And that's because of the way the Earth is situated compared to the sun. And so I've drawn a little diagram here. If we can look at this on the Elmo.
Let's zoom all the way out. Make sure
Yeah.
we're ready.
We got this?
Yes, we
All right,
do.
now, if everybody can look at this. This is actually Cynthia that drew this. She's so great. Oh, but before we get to this, we have Natalie, grade 4, about
literacy
on the phone.
question.
Natalie,
Wow,
are you there,
exciting.
dear?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi,
What do you-
Natalie. How are you?
I'm good.
Good to hear from you. What school do you go to?
Winslow.
Oh, good one. Can you tell us what your literacy question is, and we'll try to muddle our way through it?
Okay. So the question is, when you're writing like a summary of a story,
Yeah.
should you like tell the reader what the end of the story, like the solution to the problem in the story, or should you just wait and tell them to wait and see and read the book?
Oh, what a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. You
Now-
mean when you're writing a summary of some book that you've read, correct?
Now,
No.
Natalie, I want to make sure that we understand your question because the answer, there are two different answers. Are you writing this summary as a response to a question in a test?
No, I'm not actually writing a summary.
All right.
I just put this into my head.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, there are two answers then. Natalie, if you are doing a summary because it's been asked of by someone in a superior authority, your boss, your teacher, on an MCAS test, on an SAT, on a benchmark test, you want to...
Or even in a book you review?
Well, actually, in a review, a book review, I don't know that I'd want to give the ending
No.
away because
Okay.
I know where Natalie's going with this.
No.
I'd want to tempt the reader to say, you know, there's a surprise at the end and I don't want to ruin it for you,
No.
but it's worth a good read.
But in
And-
terms of answering a question
Right.
on an exam,
Yes, you want to know, you want to prove to them that you understand what a summary means. And a summary is the big stuff from beginning to end.
yeah.
Alrighty?
Okay.
And I want to remind you the things that teachers look for summaries: the characters, the setting, the plot. Now, the plot is a technical term for how the story goes, the big things that happen in a story.
What the story is.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the younger grades, they'll say, what's the problem and what's the resolution? But as you get older in the grades, Natalie, you're going to hear rising action. That's how things build to a problem or the major solution. The
Okay.
climax of the story. Yeah. So honestly, I have to say, it really does all depend, sweetheart, on if you're doing it to satisfy a test requirement or if you're trying to tempt someone into reading a book.
But,
Okay.
but if somebody actually wanted to know what the book was all about,
Yes.
then you would have to give all of it, you know, including the conclusion or the moral to the story or whatever it is.
Sure.
So it's all a matter of what the person asking the question wants. Do they want the complete story, or do they just want to have some interest in looking at the book on their own?
Okay.
All right, Natalie?
Yeah.
Natalie,
for
that
the
was
question.
a great question. Thank you so much, honey.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Sure, our pleasure.
Alrighty, so now,
So
can
back-
we get back to the vernal
to the orbit of the
equinox?
Earth.
Now, the vernal equinox, is there does each one of these have like an equinox thing or
Equinox
a special name? You said the vernal equinox, and
Yeah,
that's the
sure.
first day of spring.
Sure.
What about
if we look at this orbital
Oh,
diagram
sorry.
again, that's all right.
if this is the vernal equinox? You've got it labeled. I love this beautiful diagram.
Yes, Cynthia, you know.
We're thanking Cynthia Goodfellow for the delightful diagram that's been put
This
here.
is supposed to represent the Earth with its axis going through the middle.
Sure.
And as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago,
Yes.
because the Earth's axis is tilted,
Yeah.
this means that when it goes around the sun, in two spots in its orbit, it's either facing the Earth or on the sun, or facing away from the sun.
Kind of leaning in or
Yeah,
leaning back.
leaning in or leaning back. We put an X for the northern hemisphere where we live.
Okay.
But if you were in the southern hemisphere down below here, everything that we're about to say would be opposite.
Sure.
So there's
Autumnal.
thank you.
You're
Autumnal equinox is what we call this over here. This is called the winter solstice.
Alrighty.
This is the summer solstice, and that's the vernal equinox.
So now we're in the northern hemisphere, and we have the vernal equinox.
Well-
those folks down in, like the scientists down in Antarctica, they're dealing with an autumnal equinox.
Sure.
Oh.
In terms of weather patterns.
Okay.
But we're about right here. You know, it's March what, 5th?
Yes, today's
So
March 5th.
so we're about here somewhere in the orbit. But at March 20th, we'll be right on the side of the sun, if you want to look at it that way.
Sure.
And the top and the bottom of the Earth will get the same amount of sunlight. Remember now, this Earth is rotating like this on its own axis,
Sure.
revolving on its own axis. So as a result, it looks like it's tilted away, but it all comes around and the sunshine gets on it.
Sure.
So you get as much sunlight in the northern hemisphere as you get in the southern hemisphere during this March 20th. So it's called the vernal equinox.
Okay.
As we go further along in the orbit, notice in the northern hemisphere we start tilting towards the sun, and more of the sunlight is in the northern hemisphere, less in the southern hemisphere.
Oh, yes. And that
So
is
the
when
days become,
we go to the beach
more
and we do
light.
our picnics
Right.
outside. Sure.
and we end up with more sunlight. It's still 24 hours in a day, but you get more sunlight during this point. The maximum would be at the summer solstice.
Alrighty.
Now, when we turn the clocks ahead on March 10th, which is Saturday,
Yes.
we're actually going to arrange the time so that we get more light, more sunlight
While we're awake.
while we're awake.
Alrighty.
Because if we didn't, the schedule wouldn't quite line up to when you wake up in the morning, you know, it'd be dark out a little bit. And then
We've been dealing with that.
and then it would go down a little earlier. Well, during the winter, you don't have much choice anyhow because you don't get a lot of sunlight.
Right.
But during this period of time, the spring and the summer, we made
We
that
want as
choice,
much
and so
as
we
possible.
advanced the time ahead so that you have more sunlight while you are in waking hours. And by the way, if we look at this number one last time, I'd like to throw out a question for everybody watching. What I said to you is March 20th, coming up, is the vernal equinox. This is the beginning of spring. Now, when we get to June 21st, the longest day of light, the
All
longest
right.
daylight
Sure.
in the northern hemisphere, that's the beginning of summer. Now, can everyone out there, if you're watching and think about
I
it,
know the question.
can you tell us what it would be like when we rotate to this part in the orbit of around the sun, and then what would it be like? What season are we talking about? Begins right here. What season? And then what season begins right there?
Alrighty.
And then you'll get an idea of where the Earth is compared to the sunlight during its orbit.
Okie dokie.
Okay, so that's a little astronomy for you to get. Try to let us know when you think you know what those other two positions are, what seasons they are.
All right. And again, you can send that answer by way of email to homework helpers. Whoops, sorry about that. To homework helpers at newbedfordschools.org. You can call the numbers 508. Oh gosh, I'm not going to remember it off the top of my head
979-1600 for a live
right
call.
now. But afterwards, after the show's over.
508-979-1760.
Excellent.
That's for calling, and then we won't be here, of course. But the next
You can
person
leave
who
a
comes
message.
in on
Yes.
Wednesday, will get your email question, and they'll solve your question
Yes.
first. So watch it, and don't forget, we're on live from 5 to 5:30 every day, Monday through Tuesday.
5.
Yeah, but it's replayed at 7:30 tonight,
Right?
and then it's replayed at 7:30 tomorrow morning.
Yes.
So you can't call in during those times, but you can look over your questions again and get a second explanation of it.
Alrighty.
So please call in right now because we're down to about 4 minutes.
And-
508-979-1760. I'm sorry.
No, that's after the show.
I'm sorry, 508-979-1600.
Right, 1600
Call in right now and ask questions.
In the meantime, I'd like to take care of an email that came in, but I don't think that I want to solve this right away. I think that I'd like to send it out as a challenge because I think that this could be done by a third grader, a fourth grader, like that. I think a second grader might be a tough one, but I think I want to leave it as a challenge. And I will email the classroom teacher who sent this in so that her students don't have to suffer, you know, the pain and misery of having to figure this out on their own. Alrighty? So I'm going to put this on the Elmo, and I'm going to read it to you, make sure that you are with me. And it says, I bought a toy doll. Whoops. Are we close enough? Yeah. I bought a toy doll for 35 cents.
Wait a minute. 35 cents?
35 cents.
All right.
It's a really tiny doll.
Yeah.
I gave the store clerk $1.
Oh, by the way, Natalie is on the line. She wants to answer the question.
I haven't even asked.
I know.
Oh, the question about the.
It must be
the
sunshine.
season. Oh, excellent.
Natalie, are you there?
Natalie, go ahead, honey.
Okay, so I wanted to answer the question about like the summer solstice.
Oh, great.
Absolutely. We need to go to the Elmo so that George can point, though, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. So, Natalie, we already told you that this is the beginning of spring.
Yep.
And this is the beginning of summer. What would this be the beginning of?
The fall equinox.
Good girl.
The fall
That's
season.
the beginning
Excellent.
of fall.
Yep.
And what would this be the beginning of?
Winter.
Oh, that clever girl.
You got
I'll
the
tell you,
idea. Excellent.
that Natalie, she's really a sharp. She got a sharp stick in her head.
Natalie,
She's got that going.
I'm going to have to come up with science questions that stump you. I'll have to work on that for next week.
I don't know that that's possible. She's a clever girl.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you so much for calling back in, Natalie.
Okay, bye.
Bye, honey.
All right, we're down to about a minute for
So
this.
we have this challenge, so I'm going to send it out to you, and hopefully you can all freeze your TV to read it, or rewind it and go back.
Or see it at 7:30.
Or see it at 7:30. Come back at 7:30 and watch the rerun. I bought a toy doll for 35 cents. I gave the store clerk $1. What was my change? That's part one. The next one is what coins were given to me if it was the least amount of coins possible.
Sort of like Emma's
Using, but you have to use quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. You can't use a $50, and you can't use a dollar coin.
And you know, relating to Emma's question, if you say a quarter, we're really talking about an alien symbol that represents 25 pennies.
Exactly.
Or 25. So it's really the same kind of thinking. We got another minute.
I know, but actually, we need to remind everybody to turn your clocks back on Saturday.
Yep.
Spring is coming. Get your rest.
No, not turn it back. Spring ahead.
Spring ahead. Turn your clocks forward.
Masha is going to be so late if she
Goodness,
doesn't.
I'd be late for everything on Sunday. That wouldn't be fair.
In essence, you're going to lose an hour of this weekend. I'm sorry, guys. You're going to go back to school an hour earlier than you would normally.
Yes.
But then in the fall, you're going to go back an hour later.
That's right. We'll give you an extra hour's sleep.
All comes out.
Don't forget to do your homework. And I want to say from Mrs. Guy, thank you and have a great night. And George,
I would like to say thank you to Emma and to Natalie. You guys were great calling in. And thank you for Miss...
Mrs. Lewin's classroom. Yeah.
Mrs. Lewin's classroom.
Yep.
And think about the orbit of the Earth around the Sun.
That's right.
And we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you all for tuning in.
Do your
Bye-bye.
homework. Bye-bye.